And it's Friki de Bici, riding my bici around the streets of Valencia, Spain. I'm hoping for some rain. Well, they've been saying it's going to rain since Sunday. Hasn't really happened here in the city of Valencia. I want to talk about riding in the rain. I also want to talk about riding your bike to relieve anxiety. Part of what I want to do with this channel is ride my bike in different environments, not just here in Valencia, but all over the place. In 2026, have tentative plans that I hope to firm up to go to Paris for a little while, take the train, bring our bikes, and ride around that city, which is one of the urban cycling success stories in the world. I've seen it, but I've never ridden in it, and I really want to have the opportunity to ride in that environment. In order to do that and improve and expand Friki de Bici in other ways, I humbly ask for and need your support. So I put a link in the description and as a pinned comment to a buy me a coffee site where you can, as they say, buy me a coffee. So that's a one-time or recurring amount of money in euros or in dollars to support the work that I'm doing, to support the project. The YouTube videos don't pay yet, and they're probably not going to pay for a while, so I want to find other ways to be able to grow the channel. And what's in it for you? Well, if you want to see cycling environments in different parts of Europe from my perspective on the bike, which I like to think is unique, then you can do it through Friki de Bici. So, if you'd like to see cycling environments in other places, I would certainly appreciate your support to help make it happen. For example, the way we're planning the Paris trip in 2026 would be to take a train, obviously, as we're going to bring our bikes. It's a bit of a pain to bring your bike on the airplane. And it's a relatively long train ride to Paris, so we won't go straight through. We'll stop somewhere in between. Haven't decided where yet. Could be in Spain, could be in France, I don't know. But obviously, we'll ride there. And then, in Paris, stay for an extended period and ride there as well. Eventually, I'd love to go to Amsterdam, because Amsterdam obviously is a cycling city, but not really in the sort of gritty, Friki de Bici way. One of the things I was going to mention in this video, and then expand on it in another video, is critical mass, the celebration of bicycles that happens once a month in cities all around the world, including here in Valencia, on the first Friday of the month. I've yet to attend, but I think my wife and I are going to go for the October critical mass. I have a history with critical mass that dates back to my time in San Francisco, so I want to talk about that in a separate video. But in Amsterdam, I'm assuming maybe they do critical mass, I don't know. But every single day on the streets of Amsterdam, it is critical mass. The bike culture there is less of one of you're unique if you ride, or you're doing things a little bit differently, or there isn't really any, at least that I've seen, rebellious element to the bike culture in Amsterdam, because there are literally bikes everywhere. I was shocked, as somebody who loves bikes and believes that they really should be obviously given space and so forth. I even thought, well, you know what? Maybe there's a few too many bikes here. Like, just mountains and mountains and mountains of bicycles everywhere you turn. you always hear that there are more bikes than people in Amsterdam, and I have to believe that that's true. So all of that to say, I actually wasn't super impressed with Amsterdam as a city. It's beautiful, absolutely, but it's almost too beautiful. It's almost too perfect, too nice. Very clean, and sort of an everything looks the same situation, but not necessarily in a good way. The rows and rows of the buildings and the canals, and I just, maybe I need to explore it differently or better, but I just failed to see what I see when I visit the other places that I visited in Europe. Primarily, really, all in Southern Europe and in France, which to me has that sort of Southern Europe vibe in parts. But it wasn't my favorite place. That said, I want to go back because I want to check my first impression, and I want to ride my bike around there just to see how it feels to ride in a cycling environment that I'm totally not used to, right? Like, I've been in Valencia now for 8 months, riding my bike for a pretty good chunk of that 8 months, almost every day. And this is super different from what I'm used to, certainly in Los Angeles and even in San Francisco. But Amsterdam takes it to a whole other level, which isn't necessarily better or worse. It's just super unique. And it's certainly like a Northern Europe thing. I wonder if you go to Denmark, if bikes are as prevalent in Copenhagen as they are in Amsterdam. I would say, I would guess no, but I don't know. So these are actually the types of things that I would love to explore going forward, and your support to make it happen, obviously, I would appreciate it, and quite frankly, I need it. Just so you know, my work is that I am a freelance writer. So I have a couple of clients that I write for, and I'll do some one-off things here and there if I'm lucky enough to get them. And that's where I make a majority of my income. I have my own projects, Friki de Bici, my Never Retire newsletter. I write articles on Medium that produce variable income, but certainly make up a small portion of my earnings. My goal is to earn more from those projects and to eventually earn as much as possible in euros, because I live and I spend in euros. My ultimate goal is to make much more, or even one day all of my income from these projects that I really love to do. It's not only that I love to do them, I just think that there's more value in presenting them. A lot of the other freelance writing work that I do, as much as I love it and I'm grateful to have it, it's on like personal finance and related topics, and it's great and all, but my main creative task there is to take something that's been written about dozens, if not hundreds, or even thousands of times, and not even really put a creative spin on it, but just say it in a way that's a little bit different than everybody else is saying it. And that might just be make it more concise, make it more accessible, particularly if it's a complex subject that's difficult to digest. So I love doing it, but I honestly think there's more value to this and the associated topics that come up that really link Friki de Bici, Never Retire, and the things I write about on Medium together. So I would be grateful for your support. I don't know if it's gonna rain, man. So badly want it to rain. There's nothing better than a bike ride in general to relieve or reduce anxiety. But there's nothing better than a bike ride in the rain or at night to do it. There's something special about riding in those conditions. Now I have to say, as much as I love being on the bike and as much as I feel comfortable on the bike, sometimes I get a little bit apprehensive in the rain or at night. It's funny because my wife, who just started riding, has become comfortable on the bike pretty quickly. And when, for some reason, when it's raining or at nighttime, she rides a lot faster. And I said to her, like, what is the deal with that, right? She said, well, it's because there aren't as many people around at night and when it's raining, and they're not stepping into the crosswalk and getting in my way. That's the stuff that concerns me, are these obstacles, people and cars. That's what makes me unsteady and uncomfortable. At night, you just don't deal with that as much. When it rains, obviously, you're dealing with wet conditions, but you're not dealing with as many people. And it's funny because, like, some of the ground here is slippery when you're riding, but I think, as is the case really anywhere, you have this perception or this fear that it's going to be slippery, and then turns out it isn't. But no matter the conditions you're riding in, for me, cycling has always been anxiety relief. I was looking at some of the critical mass videos that they post on the Valencia Critical Mass Instagram, and they showed somebody's bike who had a sign, and the sign on the bike said, "My bike is my psychiatrist." I can definitely relate to that. I think we all have some form of anxiety, and it's very easy to push it on to the people that we are with every day. And if you have a kid, you definitely understand what this means. If you have a spouse or a partner, you definitely understand this. And we all need, I'm a big believer in therapy. I've definitely have done it. I don't do it anymore. But I also think that some people might disagree with me on this, but I also think that many of us have to just accept the fact that we're going to have some baseline level of anxiety that is above where it should be, and we need to find good outlets for it, right? And that outlet isn't becoming obsessive and asking the people around you if they're okay a million times. It's finding a way to go out and blow off that steam in a healthy way. And for many people, I know cycling is that remedy. It's that antidote to anxiety. And just being on the bike in general does it. But when you're on the bike in traffic and you go a little bit harder, and let's face it, you're putting yourself at risk a little bit. And man, that was like really the full embodiment of this was in San Francisco when I would ride through downtown, back when there were a lot of people downtown, especially when I had a fixed gear with no brakes. You literally can think of nothing else in the moment than what you're doing on the bike. And that's one of the biggest problems with anxiety, right? You can't live in the moment. You are always thinking about something else. When you're on the bike, especially in dicey situations, in traffic, in a little bit of chaos, when you play chicken with buses, you can't help but focus on the moment, focus on what's happening in the present. And even in situations like this in Valencia, especially when you're talking while you're riding like I do, which it was so hard to try to speak Spanish when I was riding. I didn't realize the amount of efforts, intellectual efforts, cognitive efforts, the amount of brain power that goes into trying to speak Spanish. I couldn't focus on riding. I felt like maybe I'm actually being a little bit unsafe here trying to speak Spanish. I'll get back to it, don't worry. As my Spanish improves, I'm sure it'll be less of a thing. But even speaking English and riding, you are really centering your concentration on what you're doing in the moment, and it helps. And then there's just the idea that it's exercise, and if you go a little bit hard, you get the heart rate going, you get the blood flowing, the endorphins kick in. And these are all great things for not only your physical, but your mental health, your emotional well-being. So I'm a big advocate of it, and yeah, I do believe it. Your bike can be your psychiatrist. A lot of people are regimented about what they eat and what they drink and how they exercise, and I'm like that to a pretty meaningful extent. I think there's other areas of life where we need to apply that same sort of dedication and discipline and willpower and discipline. And for me, frankly, it's anxiety. It's being less anxious and not projecting the anxiety that I grew up with on other people that I'm with today. So that's my 2 cents on that and how it fits in with cycling. So just talking about that makes me feel like this project is bigger than just riding a bike around. There are those aspects that are fabulous. I love showing this city because it's a place that I enjoy so much, and I want to go to other places and experience them on my bike and have you see them through the eyes of my bike. But there's also these other little offshoots that aren't so little that connect a lot of the things that I write about together. And that's the reason why I do it, because I look at life and say, okay, these are all the different moving parts, and wow, it's interesting to see how they connect. And when you make those connections, it helps you do a better job of making sense of things. So that, in many ways, is Friki de Bici, and I would appreciate your support. In the next video, there's a link in the description, pinned comment, where you can do that. In euros would be great, but you can do it in dollars or really in any currency you would like. In the next video, critical mass. I love talking about critical mass. I have a critical mass story, or not really a story, a saga. Oh, I don't know, just a critical mass history that I want to discuss. So we'll do it in the next Friki de Bici video. So this got hit in the forehead by a fly, or maybe a bee. Thanks for watching. Please like, please subscribe, and please check the link. I appreciate it.